Good evening, 6 Accelerated Math. Yesterday we added and subtracted fractions. Today we're going to work on multiplying fractions, and I'm going to show you two strategies for doing this, a visual one and a mathematical one. Before I do, actually go ahead and pause here, write your title down in your math notebook. And after you have done that, please mark your page and please close your math book and just think until we get to the we do. Okay, so before we multiply fractions, I want to remind you quickly of an adding and subtracting fraction no-no. Very important to me. When we added two fractions together, like 2/3 and 3/4, let's say, was very stubborn that this does not mean it's just 2 plus 3 is 5 and 3 plus 4 is 12. It is not. And look, you can tell how wrong that is because this is more than half and this is more than half. If I add more than half and more than half together, I should have more than 1. This is way less than 1. This doesn't work at all. The strategy yesterday was to find a common denominator for these two using their multiples. So I know that 3 and 4 both are going to have a common multiple of 12. So I'm going to change these both to 12. Okay, I did that wrong up here. I'm sorry. 5/7, not 5/12. So I multiplied them. I was already thinking ahead to my common denominator. Anyway, that's still not more than 1. So that's not right anyway. And so here, since 3 times 4 was 12, to get my numerator, I also did 2 times 4. And here, since 4 times 3 was 12, I also want to go 3 times 3 to get my 9. And when I add those together, I get 17/12, which is 1 whole and 5/12. That makes a lot more sense than 5/7. So that was yesterday. So just a big no-no. Don't just add the denominators and don't just add the numerators. So on to multiplying today. Let me show you two ways to do this. Normally we do a lot of word problems. We're going to get to word problems. When it comes to fractions and multiplying and dividing, the wording for the word problems can get a little tricky. So we're going to spend some time on that a separate day. So let me show you two skills for doing this. 2/5 times 1/2. One strategy I can do is I'm going to draw a box here. I'm going to draw an empty one. And what I'm going to do is, to visualize this, I'm going to represent 2/5. Let me cut it into fifths. 4, 5, so there's fifths. And I'll highlight in 2/5 to show 2/5. We need a wider highlighter. I can do that. There's 1/5, and there's 2/5. And then what I'm going to do, I'm also going to represent a half, but I'm going to show it the other direction. So I did my fifths up and down. So I'm going to do 1/2 side to side. So I'm going to cut it in half that way. I'm going to highlight it another color. Highlighter. Oh, how about yellow? And I'm just going to do a half the other way. And my answer to 2/5 times a half, it is this fraction that got colored both colors. Let me pick a new color to surround that with. How about some orange? So this, I didn't get orange. This is my solution right here. This part that got colored both colors is my answer. So that is 2 out of 10 parts, 2/10. And that's a visual way to do 2/5 times a half and easily see it. Now look what happened. I just went back and showed you when you add and subtract fractions, don't just add the numerators and don't just add the denominators. And when you multiply, it actually works out that way. Because look what our answer is here. I did my nice visual way, and I got 2/10 down here. And look, that really is just 2 times 1 is 2, and 5 times 2 is 10. So while you cannot do that when you add and subtract fractions, it is totally fine when you multiply fractions. The standard algorithm for doing that is to just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. And you get the same thing you got here. That does not work with adding, that does not work with subtracting, and that will not work with dividing, but it is the standard algorithm only for multiplying fractions. All right, let's do one together. Again, it's just going to be a math problem. It's not going to be word problem yet. We'll get to that another day. Let's multiply 1/4 times 2/5. So the visual way I do that, I'm going to draw myself a box so that I can easily show my fraction. So I'm going to do 1/4 one direction. So let's see, I'll go to a half. Cut the halves in half to get fourths, and I'll highlight that in. 1/4, so I'm just going to do one of them. Doesn't matter which one. You can do the bottom one, you can do the middle one. And then the other direction, I'm going to do 2/5. So I'm going to cut it into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to, I like to pick another highlighter color, just because I think it's nice to see it. So I'm going to highlight 2/5, the other color. And so this area right here that got colored 2 colors, these 2 boxes, that's my answer. It's the part that got colored both colors. So that looks to me like 2 out of 5, 10, 15, 20 parts of my fraction. So I cut this whole thing now into 20ths, and 2 of them were shaded both colors, so 2 20ths. And then my standard algorithm, again, only for multiplying, you'll notice that 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 5 is 20. So only for multiplying, no other operation with fractions, I can just do 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 5 is 20, and I get the same thing. So that is actually the standard algorithm for multiplying fractions. All right, once you have copied this down and you feel like you understand it, please wrap it up for the night, and we'll do your you-dos in class tomorrow.